in their textbook every day.
Okay, so we have a drill right over here. And the last sentence, we also have a drill. That would be question 19. Martin drilled a hole in a table with his power tool. So the drill right over here means to make a hole. If you drill something, you try to make a hole in a on something. But right over here, how would you say drill facts in their textbook every day?
Study.
Okay, yes, exactly. So you study so hard that you dig into it. And sometimes drilling can be also used as a very old fashioned way. If you only drilling facts without thinking it, they don't think it is a good method to study. Only drilling but without thinking, that is not a good idea. And continue, they also do something. What about that? How about Yuan Sheng? Your turn, please.
有听到吗？
Yes.
They also cram right before the deadline.
Okay, so yes, please do.
Oh, however, these are not the best methods.
Okay, these are not the best method. For example, like a drilling and the cramming are not good ideas. And you get most of it. You get most of something. So what is that? How about Xiangyu? Your turn, please. Xiangyu, you get most of the useful information.
You get most of the useful information during the initial reading.
Continue, please.
The second time you read a text, your mind tells you that you know the information already.
Okay, continue.
You end up paying less attention to what you are reading.
So all in all, what does the three line telling us? We have the initial reading for the first time, we have the second time, and then all in all. So the first time and the second time, and all in all, you end up, that is the conclusion. What is the three line telling us, Xiangyu?
You
Mm,
only
mm.
uh the first read is more important.
Huh? I don't get it.
Your first time reading is important.
Your first time is reading is important, but what does that mean by you end up paying less attention to what you're reading? If you read the first time and then your second time, your mind tells you that you already know this.
So
So
you
you
don't need
end
to read a second time.
so you don't read for the second time. And it happens to so but is that really so?
According to what?
According to your own experience.
No.
No. Okay, so what does that do with the drilling and the cramming? They are actually talking about if you only drilling, if you only cramming, no matter how many times you tried to remember, you are only trying to remember in an old way. So the old way is trying to, for example, like we are talking about it, it's like an old-fashioned way, 死记, and so there's another one, a good tip. What is the good tip for that? Instead of remembering it, cramming it, what is another good way? Chen Yan, your turn. A good tip for something.
A good tip for retaining what you
Mm,
read is to
mm.
create questions about the material and try to answer them.
Aha, then we have a tip. So the first tip for you to retain what you read is to ask questions. Have you ever tried this way, Chen Yan?
And no,
No? Really?
I don't know. Maybe not.
Well, maybe not. So, how do you retain what you read when you are preparing for the test? How would you retain what you read? How
Read many
can
times.
you read many times? So, it goes back to the old way. the initial reading, the second reading, sometimes your mind is telling us we already know the information, so we will just give ourselves a break. So the third time and the second time, if we keep reading it in the same way, our mind will pay less attention. So we will forget things easily. So it is not saying that we don't have to read, but we have to read in different way. So we create questions. So I wanted to ask Yuchen Huang, tell me about it. Have you ever tried this way? Create questions about the material and try to answer them by yourself.
No.
Really? How about, well, one of the easiest way in doing this is, for example, like in English, how would you remember those English words? Will you create questions about the material and try to answer them by yourself?
No.
No? Well, for example, you remember, for example, in this word, you are trying to remember the word retain means 记忆. So will you ever erase the English one and only see the Chinese definition and ask yourself what is 记忆 in English? Will you do that? Will you create question? This is a very simple way. This is one of the easiest ways to. Will you ever do this? What's
Yes.
记忆? Yes. So you do that. And a more complicated one is that, for example, if you are remembering anything about biology, will you ever create yourself a question and ask yourself? So you are asking yourself a question. So it's more like a mini test about yourself. Yuchen, have you ever done that? In biology or in any physics, chemistry? Seldom. Interesting. How about, let's say I am going to find someone who is going to do that. How about, 哲理, now your turn.
老师有
Yes, you are a biology master, right? I know you are
可是
good
不敢
at
当。
biology. Will you do that? How about this? Will you create the questions about the material and ask yourself the questions?
老师不好意思，
Well,
我有点跟不上现在哪里。
okay. Can you see my page?
Yes.
Okay,
可以，
so we
可以看得
are
到。
now reading this line, and I'm going to highlight it in green color. So we are asking, a good tip for retaining what you read means to remember what you read is to create questions about the material and try to answer them. Have you ever used the same way to prepare for the test? You create a question and then you answer them by yourself.
哦，有，曾经有。
Okay, can you make an example? What is the subject about?
是化学。
Okay, what would you do?
对。
Chemistry.
那时
That's
候
good.
我读的是那个化学平衡这个单元，那我就想说，化学平衡跟反应速率中提到的这个不同的一级反应、零级反应跟二级反应有没有相关？ 我就想说，因为化学平衡的定义是说，这个前后反应都不会结束嘛，我就想说，那会不会是零级反应呢？可是零级反应它的这个剩余物乘以等差，所以呢，它就一定会用完。所以我就自己问自己这个问题。后来2本不同的单元做检视，我就可以得到说，所以呢，这2个其实可以连在一起。那化学只要是可逆反应，符合平衡、定温、密闭可逆的话，就绝对不会是零级反应。
So after you ask yourself the question, and then does that mean that you try to find out the answer by yourself?
是的，对。
So did you got the answer correctly after you try to find it out?
对，我确定。
Okay, so how does that feel? How does that feel instead of like only reading the book and telling them this is that? Compared with this, one is to read every answer from the textbook. Another way is to find the answer by yourself. What are the differences?
老师，我觉得自己去找答案，跟你都只有看他告诉你的东西，一个是被动的接受，一个是你主动去寻找。 这个是比较有趣的。
Very good. So how would you say 主动的寻找 in English? You try to be something. Can you give me a word?
主动的哦。
Yes. The word start by A.
我可以说 I learn
Uh-huh.
by myself.
Okay, you learn by yourself and you try to be instead of passive. Instead of being passive, you try to be how would you say that? You try to take the action. So you are the person who are taking the action. So you are not passive. You are not passive. You are 我的 passive 怎么拼成这样子 I'm sorry. You are not passive. You are active. Okay, you are active, not passive. And more importantly, in this article, we also learn another word, which is better than active. That is proactive. Later on, you are going to hear that. You are going to see that. We are going to talk about this later. And another good way, we learned the first way is to be active. And how about another good way on the next line? And how about the one, Cheng-En, please tell us.
Another good way to
Yeah.
remember information is to draw pictures.
Okay. Continue.
Creating images will help you clarify how things are related. If you adopt this method, you will waste less time and energy
Yes.
studying.
All right. So have you ever tried this way? Yes.
老师刚
Who
你
is
刚刚
away
叫到
from-
我吗？我是刘冠宇。
Are you with us?
Yes，我刚刚没有听到。
Okay. All right. Don't worry. You will be called later on. Not now, but later. Soon. No problem. And the creating image will help you clarify how things are related. So, Cheng-En, have you ever tried this way? Draw pictures.
Yes.
Yes. In which subjects do you draw pictures more?
Every subject.
Mm-hmm. For example, what kind of pictures do you draw? For example, what subjects do you draw most of the time?
自然课吧。
Okay, so how would you say that? You needed to give me an example. 自然课 there are many 自然课 included. 国小才在上自然，高中不是上自然。
Science.
Okay, so you draw pictures. Why? Why do you draw pictures?
去把那个大观
In
念化。
English, please. You draw pictures in order to.
In order to.
What is the reason you draw pictures in a science class? For example, do you want to show other people your results? Or you wanted to tell yourself how to do that step by step? Or what is the purpose that you draw pictures in a science class? Cheng-En?
To sort the concept of the lesson.
Okay, so you wanted to solve. Is that the word? Solve or see? What is the word that you are choosing? See the concept. What is the word that you are using?
Sort.
Sort. Aha, that is a good one. You wanted to sort different concepts in your ideas. And have you ever using the same way, sorting the concept in our English class? What do
No.
we usually do? Well, what do we usually do in sorting the concept in English class? If you are not using, give me a hint. I'm giving you a hint. Is that giving you any bell? Is that ringing you any bell? Sometimes I'm
Oh.
asking you to do that. What is the way that we are doing this? Sorting the concept of what?
Vocabulary.
Yes, this is one of the easy way. And sometimes we draw like a mind map telling what relationship between things. That is also another way. And these is trying to be clarify for things. And so if we can adopt this method, means if we can use this method, we will waste less time and energy studying. And that is being active. However, another word for proactive, Proactive, is not only active, but if you can be proactive, that means you are active before things happened. Pro means it's not professional only. It means something before something happened. So some people can be active after things happen and then you started to active. But if you can be proactive, then you are trying to prepare and be active before things happen. And then you are not waiting for the things to happen. All right, so this is pretty much for our text, and I wanted to yes.
所以那个 drill 跟 crane 的意思是差不多的。
Well, drilling and cramming, well, they are similar, and cramming means you put many things, squeeze many things inside. Okay, so for example, we would describe cramming school. The cram school means that they not only they are squeezing, putting a lot of information, put a lot of knowledge inside. And if you are drilling, it is the verb that you are digging a hole, go deep. But even though that in Chinese some people say 钻研，但是这里我觉得不是翻钻研啊，这个翻的就是死记硬记硬练，就是只是一直不断的练，一直不断的背。So in drilling, if you are looking it up in a dictionary, it will say drilling means you practice repeatedly is drilling. So cram means to put a lot of information inside your mind. However, drill is more on practice. So can you see the screen that I'm showing you for now? It means to tell someone something repeatedly to make them remember it. So, Yuru, can you read out loud the first sentence?
It was drilled into us at an early age that we should always say please and thank you.
Okay, so drilled is more like you repeatedly, and it's almost like a brainwashed you to remember it. And sometimes drill are used in a negative way. Why it is negative? Drill and a cram are coming together using in a negative way because people think if a teacher is only drilling and cramming, and it is more like a teacher is doing the talking all the time, and the teacher is not asking students to think, then that is only the purpose for drilling. Teacher do the talking and ask you to remember because the teacher telling talking all the time. But if I gave you questions and allow you to think and find out the answers by yourself, probably it is another way to learn. So drill sometimes is only for 反复训练 and cram coming up together. The meaning are close, but they are not the same. Okay, I still have some time left and I wanted to move